Southampton rock bottom of the table, and it looked like they were going to get the better of the Red Devils. And then Diallo steps up with 3 goals in 12 minutes. It was
all season, even under Russell Martin, they did that.
Yeah, I think if Southampton could finish, they'd have won by 2 or 3 goals.
They look better though, don't they?
They look much better under Juric. Absolutely,
yeah.
They look much better. They just need that composure in the final third. But what did alarm me about Manchester United is what worries me ahead of Brighton, which is that they turn up for the big teams. If you look at the last 10, 11 games, they turned up against City, they turned up against Arsenal in the FA Cup, they turned up against Liverpool because their fans demanded it of them.
Wolves and Bournemouth, no.
Wolves, Bournemouth, Newcastle, they were slaughtered at home. And you look at Brighton, they've lost 5 of the last 6 against Brighton. And I think as far as Brighton are concerned, with the players to finish those chances that they will create, I can see this being another home defeat. Now, the question has to be, why can't these United players in midfield, at the back, get the same level of desire and hunger and organisation that they had?
I'm with you. It's perplexing, really. And, you know, Amrim did say after the Liverpool and the Arsenal games that, OK, that's fine, but the pressure is now more on these players for Southampton because there's an expectation there, which there wasn't maybe against the other 2 games in the Cups, right? But to come off with losing every duel for a lot of that game. De Ligt came on the programme when I was covering that match, and he said we were losing all our duels. They were intense.
Yeah. But
the question is why? Where was the desire and commitment that should have been
it's
there?
difficult because it was only a few days ago they had that desire and commitment, but I'm not making excuses, but there were changes within the team. Harry Maguire, I think, has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, and a player that's really redeemed himself and come back from those tough moments. And Euro started in that game. So there's a few things. I like Ugarte as well. I think he's got something. He reminds me of Ander Herrera when he was at Man United. But I do think, you know, Ruben Amorim, for me, no doubt, is the right person because for the first time in 3 or 4 years, I'm seeing Manchester United having a pattern of play, what they're trying to do. People might look and think, why is Ahmad playing fullback? You know, in that wing-back position. But I like what Ruben Amorim is doing. Manchester United had no identity for 3 or 4 years. And you will lose games, no doubt.
Would you worry for them if Ahmad was injured?
Yeah, I do worry for Manchester United, but it's not, like I said, Ruben has him on the bench against the big teams for some reason. Now, I know coaches love to have an impact player coming off the bench. Manchester United, these players, I think Ruben is maximising them. They still need to get better players. These players, I've no doubt within the next kind of couple of years, they won't be there, a lot of them, because Ruben will bring in players that fits his style and system.
Amorim, of course, who called him out as being one of the players that he felt didn't meet the standards that he'd set for the club since his arrival. I actually think he will go to Napoli. Napoli are hugely interested in him. They've got another player from Manchester United, Scott McTominay. He's helped them to get into and stay in the title race in Italy. And I think they'll actually win that title race as well. Garnacho, around about £45 million, I think he's going to go there.
You think he will?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, wow.
I don't like that, you know. I know we've got to move on, but I don't like Garnacho moving on. It's so quickly, and he's been at Manchester United his whole life.
He has, yeah. And they go into this game in a strong position, of course, unbeaten in 16. They've been top of the table for over 2 months. I just wonder, though, 4 draws in the last 6 games? Has their grip of top spot weakened of late?
I mean, it seems that way. I mean, Nottingham Forest midweek, Mo Salah probably had one of his worst games of the season, and when that happened...
He was very...
Premier League. And sometimes we do this a lot as fans. A team is streaking clear in December, we kind of declare the race over.
It has been though, Darren, hasn't it, with Man City?
Well,
like, it's more or less been done the last 3 seasons.
Where they normally come alive in December and then start to streak away over the subsequent months, whereas as far as Liverpool are concerned, they were so far clear and they had the opportunity to go, I think it was 11 points clear, but they faltered against Manchester United. What I do think, very uncharacteristically for Liverpool, is that perhaps they started to believe in that publicity a bit because everybody expected them to slaughter Manchester United and they didn't at home and they surrendered 2 points. And then, of course, in the League Cup away to Tottenham, who were so poor against Arsenal, they fell behind. And this is not the normal Liverpool. So even though they're in a expecting them to slaughter Manchester United and they didn't at home and they surrendered 2 points. And then, of course, in the League Cup away to Tottenham, who were so poor against Arsenal, they fell behind. And this is not the normal Liverpool. So even though they're in a good place, I think their grip is weakening at the moment, carrying as many goals that they have done.
And no one's even talking about the fact they lost Ivan Toney because those two are doing
doing
well for
brilliantly.
Brentford.
Yeah. Actually, talking of which, Visser has now become Brentford's top Premier League goal scorer, overtaking Ivan Toney. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves.
Well, the talk is that Arsenal have an interest in him. It'll be interesting to see if they pursue that, given that they do need a striker by the end of this window. But as far as he's concerned, I almost think back to when Thierry Henry left Arsenal and Nicolas Anelka really did come alive. And I wonder if Tony leaving Brentford has allowed both those players, actually, Mbeumo and was it to get their confidence. You've been a striker, you know far better than I do.
I was always the main one, though. I'm only joking. I'm only joking. No, but I know what you're saying. Like, sometimes, look at Tottenham when Harry Kane left. Initially, you know, it looked like Harry Kane's probably thinking, I should have stayed there because they were playing free-flowing football. I think, from my experience, when a top player leaves, everybody else gives that extra 10, 15% because they can't rely upon that player.
It's a collective thing.
Whereas you think they just capitulate and think they've lost this extra 10, 15% because they can't rely upon that player.
It's a collective thing.
Whereas you think they just capitulate and think they've lost this massive player. But what's the link, Visser going to Arsenal? Like, how much are we talking? You're the person in the know, Dan.
What, in terms of how much it would cost?
Yeah.
Oh, it costs easily in excess of 60, 70 million pounds.
Interesting.
I mean, he's been a terrific player for them. He's key to what they're trying to do. They'd be trying to take him mid-season. They'd be justified in asking for that much money.
You're talking about January?
Talking about January,
Wow.
yeah. The interest is there. But I think as far as Visser is concerned, he's playing with so much more confidence now. He's doing that because he's playing with a Brentford team that know him, know his game. It would be very different if he were to go elsewhere. He'd be stepping up a level, there'd be more pressure on him, and suddenly you're looking at a very different player. You know, can you respond to that? But as far as Brentford are concerned, what he has done for them is show that he does have that ability, and I think they're going to be very, very difficult for Liverpool.
Credit to Thomas, manager, that I think whatever team you support, you always enjoy watching him, you know, his press conferences when he's talking, and I think what he's done with that team is unbelievable. Because you're manager, that I think whatever team you support, you always enjoy watching him, you know, his press conferences when he's talking. And I think what he's done with that team is unbelievable. Because you look at the players they've got, like
Look at the players they haven't got.
Yes.
I mean, they've got 6 or 7 injured. By the way, you know, Hickey, Pinnock, they've been, you know, a lot of their defence, Ayer as well. I mean, they've got 6 or 7 injured. By the way, you know, Hickey, Pinnock, they've been, you know, a lot of their defence, Ayer as well.
Losing Raya as well.
But but even then, he still manages to grind out results. The one against City, the comeback was terrific.
Well, that was the reason why I thought that was significant that you played that right at the
personality.
start, because you picked that, didn't you? And that showed real character. That showed that they are there. You know, sometimes you can have a great record and as soon as you play one of the superpowers, suddenly it falls apart. But suddenly they were 2 goals down. They could easily have thrown in the towel, but they fight their way back to 2-2. Terrific result for them, and a warning to Liverpool as well.
Yeah, talking of Liverpool, Mo Salah and the report situation, you've already spoken briefly about that. Will the City Haaland news, you know, almost prompt them into announcing 1 or 2 things? What is the latest on that, Darren? What do you know?
I don't think that the Haaland thing can prompt them, because I think there are 2 very different sets of circumstances. Haaland's 24, has had to commit to by the time he's 35. He's 32 at the moment.
Do you remember what I said on the show 2 weeks ago? Give that man whatever he wants. Because
Would you still say that? Would it make fiscal sense to give him what he wants and he's on that
Depends
money?
what he wants.
100%.
Whether a
Because
lot of them is for Liverpool is that they will have looked around the Premier League and saw Aubameyang, they would have seen Ozil, they would have seen so many other players, Alexis Sanchez, Wayne Rooney in his last contract at Manchester United, and they would have said to themselves, do we want to anchor ourselves financially to a player? Listen, he keeps himself in outstanding physical condition. Let's not kid ourselves, and no need to write.
and he's still one of the best in the world, Darren. Like, he's still one of the best in the world. Like,
but he is now.
Yeah.
And they will have data. You know that they will have data that we are not party to. How will he look in 18 months' time? How will he be in 2 years' time?
Sometimes that's
And
to come
they're
a
the
little
things
bit
you
of
have to
loyalty,
consider.
though.
Yeah.
You do have to consider that. I'm not writing the money for the checkbook, you know what I mean? But I just think, like, who can you get right now? Who can Liverpool get in that will do what he does next season and the season after that? He will guarantee you double digits. He'll guarantee you goals. And when he's not playing well, Liverpool look like a different team.
Yeah.
So who would they get instead of him?
Well, everyone said that about Kane. And Spurs now, they're second highest scorers in the Premier League at the moment.
Yeah, but look where they are in the league.
That's because they can't defend.
Different team.
Yeah.
So who would they get instead of him?
Well, everyone said that about Kane. And Spurs now, what, they're second highest scorers in the Premier League at the moment.
Yeah, but look where they are in the league. Come on.
That's because they can't defend.
Yeah.